So Will, Abner, we have just it was yesterday, right? We tuned out from the Made by Google event. Very, very different tech event. Initially, didn't like the concept. Afterwards, really liked that it did something different. Now, I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
Different. That is, I would also say that's my takeaway. It's different, got people talking. But if, hypothetically, let's say they did the second year, I don't think they have the same novelty on their side the second year. It's the Pixel 10 generations, big number, people like anniversary, so to speak.
Yeah.
So there's a real justification for trying something different. But was that difference a success?
Oh, really, really good question. Like, how do you feel, Will? Do you think that it's broken through to people who are not tech people?
No, I didn't see any. I know that's disappointing. I didn't see any clips outside of like the typical tech people sharing them yesterday. Like I didn't see, because I'm sorry to make this comparison, but it's Google did it 100 times. Like on iPhone launch days, like iPhone keynote days, normal people will be talking about the announcement on Twitter or whatever social network they want to use. And I didn't see it crossover. It's totally possible it did, because it's always going to be anecdotal, right? Like there's no way for me to, quickly get a glimpse as to how many people were talking about this event that don't typically follow tech events. But yeah, I was genuinely surprised when I went to rewatch the event this morning, and I can talk about why at the end of this episode. But I went to rewatch the event, and it was at like 6 million views when yesterday throughout the stream it was at 70,000 concurrents like during the live event. And so obviously they are back to like, I assume this is being put as a pre-roll or something on videos, because I don't know how else it gets to 6 million overnight. But yeah, I didn't feel like this. I guess that was kind of my big question, and we don't have to focus on the event for that long, but it was kind of like, I don't know who it's for necessarily, because it didn't feel like the guests they had on were really the sorts of people that like tech focused viewers would find exciting. And at the same time, I don't think
I definitely cross off that tech viewer audience as who it's for,
but
not them.
But nobody else wants to watch a smartphone launch. Like I really think that I don't even think people really watch the Apple ones. I think they just see Marquez Brownlee tweet about it, and then they go, "Wow, like I'm so excited for the iPhone 17 or whatever." Like I guess I just like, if you have a specific audience, I don't know why you don't at least throw one person in that I think maybe people on like Google Pixel Reddits would be excited about. I don't know.
They absolutely want to break the audience. They want to find a different audience, break through to a different audience. And I think the mix of social people they got YouTubers, they got sports people. Did they get any other category?
No, just
right?
entertainers and Fallon and
influencers,
influencers and
whoever that Peloton guy was that they kept.
I liked him.
He was fine, but
amazing.
like they introduced him like I should know who that is, and I'm like, I don't have a Peloton. I have no idea who this man is.
No, I don't. I think they hit a wide smorgasbord, for the lack of a better word, and it was very online, which in a way is reflective of like that YouTube audience, which they in theory naturally have built in. Like YouTube, when they do these big upfront events, they succeed at being this online person out, at having such an online event with online references, etc., etc. I don't think that necessarily translates well to the main Google brand, to your point, Will. But I think all they need for this to be a success is to get people talking about it. And quality-wise, back to that idea of quality, or whether it was a good idea, I think, I mean, we're obviously technically savvy from that point of view. I think it was a shame that they didn't spend more time on a traditional tech keynote, because I think a tech audience would have loved that.
Yeah.
As they didn't go that hard into Tensor G5, which we have a post on, and it was a pretty sizable update. They could have done more camera stuff, highlighting like what's impressive video improvements. It should have been like a solid chunk of ProRes zoom. That would have done well. So I think they could have done a traditional keynote this year that's tech features showcasing what's cool. I think the amount of cool new features they had would have broken through if they went that route.
Yeah.
Do you think this is one of the few ways, though, that Google can, or they maybe were initially thinking how we're going to break through to an audience who doesn't normally care about this stuff? Because I know you alluded to it a minute ago, Will, is that with Apple, it's very different. I think Apple has it's almost like a status symbol, like a luxury thing, I guess. They have it's the numbers game. They're absolutely smoking Google. It doesn't even matter. It's like probably 10,000 to 1, right, in terms of sales. So it's kind of, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So I feel like maybe they just said, let's just go for it. Let's see what happens. And I think, I'm going to be completely honest, I think it was very different in a good way. Initially, I mean, I don't like, it's Jimmy Fallon, right? I confuse him with Jimmy Kimmel. There's too many of those terrible American talk show TV hosts.
Hey, Kimmel's good.
I was gonna say, I think Abner is.
Do you like him? You would have preferred him.
I'm Kibble agnostic or whatever. I see him once a year when he hosts the Oscars, except he doesn't do that anymore. So.
Right. I am a student of late night, for reference. I'm a student of late night talk shows.
So you love the concept, right? So in terms of a concept, right, they have to get somebody who's going to be, I think the idea of having Fallon be a bit inquisitive about the products, if they'd just let him go off and host it like he hosts a TV show, I think it would have been a little bit less, what would I describe it? Dorky, because it was dorky in a good way in some respects, and it did feel salesy. I know a lot of people, I wasn't the first to say it, but it felt a bit like QVC and a shopping channel kind of thing. But I think the personalities with the people who work internally at Google, some of them came across really, really well. And like you said, the Peloton guy came across really well as well. I think there's definitely some positives to take because they didn't take this too seriously, but we're arguing now that they should have taken it more seriously. I think if you go watch an Apple keynote, it's dry. The humor is really, to me, it's really stunted. It's really forced. It's really, there's a level of self-importance there. I don't think Google put forward a face of, we are self-important. They're thinking, we have a product here that they clearly were proud of it and they were talking about it on a quite a strange basis compared to some other keynotes that we see. They're very much like numbers and figures, whereas Google are just like, yeah, we have a good product. We think our product's really good. And I think we've got to give some credit for them to even try that. I think you could go back to some of these Samsung keynotes are absolutely embarrassing. At least the celebrity endorsements here felt more in tune with what their product is doing rather than, hey, let's get Sydney Sweeney on to take a picture with the Flip.
They did it. They did Sydney Sweeney twice, and it was worse the second year. God.
So yeah, we're getting away from that. I think. I will be concerned because Fallon, I'm pretty sure he was in an iPhone ad last year or during the keynote last year. So I don't know. Kudos for trying it. I would love to know what you thought when you were there, Abner. Obviously, you were there in person. How did you feel? Like, did it feel confusing? Did it feel like, what the heck are we doing?
It felt like a late night TV show taping. The audience was not. It wasn't a hot audience. Stand up is what I think most people have experiencing. Like there was a stand-up-esque vibe to it. There's like somebody in the beginning like hyping it up. I don't think that was on the live stream. There was an applause sign, just like a sitcom. So, but I think if most people, stand-up is probably something they might have seen. I think that's the best model for it. And let me say, the audience was not in on it because it's like people working. It wasn't all tech journalists, but it was quite a bit of journalists.
Every time they showed the audience, it was filled with laptop screens, as you would usually expect at these events. But then, and I am 90% sure at least some of the applause and laughter in the live stream was canned, because there's just absolutely no way the audience sounded like that. Like, was not at this event, but I've been to enough of these events to know that the only people who really ever applaud or laugh, etc., are staff, or like Google staff, Samsung staff.
Okay, there are a lot of staff there. There are a lot of retail partners.
Absolutely.
So
that could be where that was coming
the
from.
audience that's built in. Yeah, no, agreed there.
Whether or not it was canned, right? It didn't sound authentic. I think my immediate like grasp on it was just like, this does not sound authentic to what these events usually sound like. And no joke was ever funny enough to get the reaction it was getting anyway.
I don't know. I think
no, there was some funny
jokes.
I think
there was a bit when Jimmy just shouted Tensor.
Now that's credit to our Google Tensor G5 chip.
Tensor! Come on. You know there's Tensor nerds out there know what I'm talking about. Tensor G5!
Yes.
Which was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm going to get that as a soundbite, and I might set that as my ringtone. And he kept calling everyone, oh, I love you, Tensor. Was it something about you Tensor nerds out there? I know you.
Yeah. Yes.
That was absolutely genius. I thought that was genuinely one of the funniest things I've ever heard in a keynote.
I just came up with a horrible thing. I think the litmus test of this event is low-key. Do you like the Big Bang Theory? Do you think the Big Bang Theory is making fun of like nerds? Or do you think it like the Big Bang Theory is an embrace of how nerd culture has kind of won and everybody's a nerd?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can see that. I think that's a really good approximation. I didn't think of it like that. I kind of, at first I was like, this is so weird. And then I
never felt like Jimmy was making fun of me, which to his credit, he's a late night host. He knows how to deal with people. He knows how to deal with big crowds. And most people, the vast majority of people do not. So I never felt made fun of. And I think that is and I don't think anybody watching would either. So I think that's sometimes hard to do, but it was never insulting. So that's something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about these. Let's talk about the actual devices then, because I think that we could talk about this show forever, and we probably should at some point.
Yes.
Especially when the next one rolls around and get our expectations out of the way. There was some hardware there.
Yes.
Let's start with some phones. Yeah. What do you think?
They look the same. They look the same. They look the same. They look the same. You can't tell a difference. With that out of the way, cameras. Like we said, ProRes Zoom was really impressive. We've had some demo experiences with it, and it works.
Yeah, I mean, my first instance of seeing it in person was, and I swore, when I'm not going to swear in this podcast, obviously, because it's a family-friendly show, but I genuinely couldn't believe that the difference between the initial 100 times zoom, it was a blurry mess, like every 100 times zoom camera, and then put in the definition of flowers on a tree that was in a Paris street, and I was like, and I wasn't even filming it. I was just literally just looking at it.
Yeah.
And I genuinely was shocked at how good the AI or the Gemini model, whatever it was able to fill in the gaps. I mean, probably shouldn't be a shock, right? VO and all of the imaging tools that Google's using is so good at filling in the blanks that I genuinely think this could be huge for people like tourists. Like, I call it this is the tourist feature. The fun feature. Your friend goes to sit on a bench because they've had an argument with you in the park. You go take a funny picture of them looking sad on the bench. It suddenly brings everything to life. Yeah, it can look a little bit like blown out and blurry, but it's 100 times zoom. You're not going to get perfect image quality, but I was so impressed at how it fills in the blanks. It's genuinely impressive from an AI feature.
It feels like the built-in response. If we've spent months being like, okay, if the regular Pixel 10 has a telephoto lens, like, then why would you get the Pro?
Yes.
This feels like the missing information that we didn't have of like why you would get the Pro, because correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it's 20x is the max on
on
the
base,
regular
on the
20
base
model. Okay, yeah. So like 20x is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to trying the base model, but like, yeah, obviously a really solid 100x like AI centric zoom is great.
Yeah, because I think we're conditioned, and most tech people conditioned to like look at 100x and be like, that's a pointless feature.
Well, because every time Samsung tries it, it's terrible.
Yeah, it is, sadly.
So yeah, that's actually compelling. And
do you think? on that, I know we mentioned Samsung. I'm going to go on a tiny tangent here. Do you think that Google will outsource some of this technology? If it's based on imaging and using Gemini models, do you think that Samsung might eventually access this or be able to license it from Google?
I think it's competitive advantage. It's a Pixel camera feature. It's absolutely not an Android feature. It's a thing that the Pixel camera team worked hard on. This diffusion model. No, I think that's probably stays in house as a competitive advantage. Rightly so.
I mean, these are the kind of things which I think Pixel cameras should be kind of delving into a little bit more. This goes a little bit beyond computational photography, right? And we've talked about that for like 10 years now, 10 versions. And it definitely feels like this was always the next step. This is the way that it was always going to go. But I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the phrase. I was about to say I hate it. I don't hate it, but the phrase like, what is a photo? I don't necessarily think that that's so, I mean, you can apply that to lots of things, but at the end of the day, this does definitely feel like, what is this photo? What have I taken a picture of here? And AI is clearly filling in the blanks really, really well. I mean, I've seen a little bit of discourse online, people complaining that it's the same hardware on the Pro, but surely this means that Tensor G5 is doing enough to power these models locally or something. So,
and yeah, it has a new image signal processor that is being leveraged throughout the camera pipeline, and I think the same sensors on the Pro, but the autofocus has been enhanced 2x the range or something like that. And I think that could be the thing. Yeah, OIS. I think that could be the underrated thing that really improves it. And I don't know, like camera tuning, I'm sure they did more tuning. And I think year over year, that's something definitely to look forward to.
I mean, just looking at what they've done with the Pro is, I mean, it's great for software related stuff. It's just a shame we won't be able to get some of these on the Pixel 9 if it is locked to Tensor G5 and that new ISP. But then when we look at the regular Pixel 10, there's some downgrades. Like Google gives with one hand and takes away with another here, because I think the telephoto is going to be huge.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because obviously I didn't spend quite as much time with the regular 10. I have a review unit here and I won't be able to talk about that, but what I saw was fine. I couldn't really make a summation of what the telephoto was like there. But I know you guys had a little bit longer to kind of mess around with the camera. Did you manage to see that when you were at the keynote yesterday, or on any sessions that you had previously?
Stay tuned on that, but it's, I think, I think the Pixel 4 is absolutely right in doing telephoto over wide. And I'm glad that we're now finally at the point that all phones have these 3 lenses. And it's actually, to compare to what I think the iPhone is still the base iPhone this year is still sticking with 2 lenses. So I think this is a meaningful competitive advantage. And I feel like advertising is going to go pretty hard into that. But it's just the idea of like having this tool on your phone. I think that should not be. I think that's a pretty powerful selling proposition.
I mean, it's weird, isn't it, Will? I'm about to ask you about this because I know you mentioned it just a second ago. The addition of a telephoto makes a base model so much more enticing, and everybody kind of wants to look at it, like from the tech side of things. I know yesterday it might have been a different sell for Jimmy Fallon on the QVC network. Yeah. But you tell me. Like I know you're like me. You want to try this telephoto out until it's basically going to run out of battery.
Yeah, mostly because it's pretty rare that I need to zoom more than 20x, and so to a certain extent, I'm like, okay, well, if this is the more colorful device, which I'm into, and it's cheaper, which I'm into, and there are not that many like true you're getting essentially the same software experience. It's just a few minor like hardware-based downgrades, but even compared to last year, where people were already asking like, why get the 9 Pro when the 9's right there? Like, I think that's even more true this year, and I don't mean that as a criticism. I think it's great that the Pixel 9 is like a fully featured package that I can't imagine basically anybody, right? Like 99 point whatever % of users being satisfied with the experience that brings to the table. And then for real enthusiasts, right? Like true hardcore enthusiasts, the people listening to this show, you have the better camera system and more RAM, correct? Right? It's fully 16. And does the base model have UFS 4.0 at all, or is it just?
No, we have found out that it's UFS 3.1 on 128 gigabytes.
Because they don't
go to 256 to get UFS 4.
Okay. So, but there are advantages to buying the Pro, but it's not like it's enough that I don't know. I feel like that device exists for a very specific buyer, and I think that's okay. I'm kind of accepted that like that can be a space where Google plays, and then they can otherwise point people to buy the base model, $800, big full package. There you go. Or you want a big screen, go buy the XL. There you go. And like I think that makes sense. I'm glad the Pro exists, even if I would expect it to, of the three, by far be the one that sells the least. Like I has to. Yeah. I assume the 9 Pro also sold the least of the three, but this year I cannot imagine the Pro not being in third place. And that's okay. Like I really think that like it's good that this exists for people who want it.
I feel like, yeah, the model that Google has taken is, and this is just kind of something I've been theorizing for a little while. It's almost like Google has taken on this Apple's playbook circa 5 years ago. So we're going to have this like TikTok approach. We're going to have effectively, this is I think it's the Pixel 9S personally. And I think that's a good thing in a lot of ways, because there are enough upgrades to say if you have a 7 or a 6. If you have a Pixel 6, I think this is going to be absolutely great for you. You're going to make that jump and you're going to have a really, really good time. I think, yeah, nobody is probably going to go from the 9 to the 10 unless you get really good trade-ins. And I think...
Yeah, I think that's an important factor. But again, we have to use this stuff. But I'm going to say that I think Tensor and what Tensor makes possible on the AI features front, I think that makes it not an S year. I'm
basing it on what I've seen and tested so far, but obviously we'll know within a few weeks, right, when we put these devices through the paces. But it certainly feels like that, right? Like externally, it feels like that. It probably is not going to be the case. But visually,
the original couple S models, we're obviously referring to the iPhone, were, you know, like the 3GS was specifically focused on speed. The 4S was, I guess, kind of focused on Siri, but like you can look at it as like the S's, the initial S models from Apple were typically focused on either software or under the hood changes. I would say the Pixel 10 qualifies as that because it is reusing last year's design, you know, give or take a telephoto lens, but is then making it significantly more powerful and adding software features on top of that power, and you know, that are primarily exclusive. We'll see what comes to the Pixel 9 in a few months, because that is usually how Google's cadence works. Real quick before we move on, I do want to point out to your point, Damien, that it is a really solid year to upgrade to a Pixel 10 if you have an older Pixel device. I rounded up the Tensor powered Pixel trade-ins from the Google store yesterday, and like, you know, the 6s are really, but like, I mean, we're talking about 4 years ago, right? 4 years ago? Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah. Wow, Jesus. 4 years ago for the 6s. But like, if you have a Pixel 7 Pro, you're getting $425 back for that 3-year-old device. Like that's great. I actually think that like Pixel 7 owners in particular should really consider upgrading this year, because that's a great value. Pixel 8 Pro is like $500. It's maybe not quite as big of a jump, but still excellent. And you know, I would maybe hold off if you have a Pixel 9, because those values are not that much higher. And if they hold this or next year, you'll get a good bang for your buck. But Pixel 7 and 7 Pro owners, like that's like that sweet spot of like, you've had that phone for 3 years, you've gotten a lot out of it, and now Google's going to give you back like a few $100 towards your next phone. It's not a bad time to update.
No. Speaking of updates, I want to talk a little bit about the Pixel Watch, because again, this is one that I didn't spend a ton of time with. If you were to look at that visually, it doesn't look like anything's changed at all, even less so than the Pixel phones in a lot of respects. But like, there seems to be a lot of the under hood stuff. This is one of those, like, this was like a sleeper product in Google's lineup this year, like in terms of upgrades. I know we have a little bit of time to wait for it, but yeah, in terms of upgrades, this pretty substantial, right?
Honestly, it's my best in show. And I think this is a detriment to how stuff has leaked and influences people's perception on things. But at the same time, I don't think Google properly captured how different this screen is. This actual 360 display, it is fully domed. So that means the center of the screen is taller than the surrounding edges. When Google always described the Pixel Watch as inspired by water droplets, and when you actually like put water droplets on a coin, that experiment or whatever, it's not a flat. The water isn't flat; it's domed, and Google has finally captured that, and it's probably like what they've always wanted to do with its design language. So the unfortunate thing is you have to experience it in person. You have to swipe in person. You have to see it at different angles on your wrist, because otherwise it's hard to capture that this display. It's different in not being flat, but once you actually start using it, once you start actually going into it, the ripple effects of how it changes the way that you look at your watch at an angle, or when you swipe, it feels different. There's a lot of ripple effects that you can only experience once it's on your wrist, and I think that's unfortunate from an advertising perspective, but that's going to be really interesting, and I think this is another bigger upgrade than expected.
I mean, it's the first watch as well with the latest Qualcomm chip, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think that adds a lot in terms of performance? I mean, then again, we're not doing tons and tons of stuff on our wristwatches, but
actually, there is no performance upgrades.
There's no performance upgrade.
What, 3 to 4 years between? So wearable chipsets, they're up, like smartphones every other year, they get an impressive improvement process node wise. This is the exact same chip, but with the addition of satellite connectivity, which adds a nice peace of mind, I guess, and means you don't have to take your phone everywhere, but it's not the performance upgrade we've been looking. Instead, Google's new co-processor is the big update there, and it allows for more ML experiences. So that's the chip upgrade you're really getting this year, but it really comes down to the look and feel. As a piece of jewelry should, as something you wear, the look is very important.
I've seen a fair few people complaining that it is a piece of jewelry. It's going to be in the firing line a bit. Do you think that we could, and this is a broader question, I personally think there's enough room in the lineup for a rugged wearable from Google, maybe with a little bit of a flat sides, that kind of thing. But I guess that doesn't fit with what they wanted to do with this like elegant, really like classic timepiece. I don't know. It makes me sad a little bit because all people want to say is it will break or it will do this. And I'm like, it is a good looking piece of technology, right? There are very few smartwatches that look like this. And I think, to then if somebody said, let's make a rugged version, they encase it with maybe flat sides, a bit more like the Pixel 10 and Pixel 9. I don't know. I think that would diminish the experience a little bit. I think it would feel a little bit more generic. So I kind of like, fair play to Google for continuing with this Pebble design and really, really refining it over time. It's just a shame we have until October to see it in the flesh, I guess. Yeah.
What are people doing with their watches outside of like really rugged sports that they're like worried about breaking? I could not tell you how many smartwatches.
Bump. It's the accidental bumps as you go about, like let's say you're working in the store. It's so easy to accidentally bump, and that's who I see with bumpers so often.
I've certainly I have hit my various watches on door frames and doorknobs and etc. Countless times and left marks, but I've never broken one. I've never had the glass shatter. I've never had something
I think the idea
come off.
There is depending on what you do, like it just happens multiple times
fair.
in a day.
At that point, I would say be more careful with your arm perhaps. Just if it's happening that often, maybe just pay
As
attention to
somebody
where
who
your
has
arm
no hand-eye coordination, that is
Okay, all right,
a
fair
very hard
enough.
thing to ask.
So yeah, I think with Pixel Watch, I mean the upside is like I say that there is a lot of upgrades there, but
yeah,
it does,
I think the one software thing is this Gemini raise to wake in terms
Yeah.
of you can just raise your wrist and start talking. We have no fondness for the Hey Google hot word, and which Google apparently is keeping. We'll talk about Gemini for home in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about that, but I don't know, I think that could be interesting from a instant, if you can condition yourself to just raise your wrist every time you have to ask a question. That's a step towards using AI in new ways.
yeah, and obviously that delayed. I say delayed. It's a delayed launch, right? It's a lagged launch. We're going to have that in October time, but that's obviously going to be joined by the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. I nearly got the name wrong there because I think the naming convention is terrible. But like this one feels like, yeah, apart from the IP68 rating, this feels like a bigger battery. It doesn't feel like the hugest of upgrades to that particular device. So I wonder if that's why they've held it back a little bit, just because it just gives a little bit of breathing room to their other devices, the slab phones. I spent this was the least amount of time I spent with a device.
Feels the same.
And I have zero opinions on it, sadly.
Feels
The jade
same
color's
as well.
pretty. I like the jade.
Yeah.
That's
Fine
it.
in colors.
Weird that they went from porcelain and obsidian to two of these kind of more, I would call it a bit flashy colours. But it's a strange, because I assumed this was, the original justification was black and white because they're more businessman-like. I wonder if they want to put a little bit of fun and playfulness into Material 3 Expressive and Android 16 QPR1. And then they've changed the colours of the foldable devices. It doesn't seem to like compute with me properly. But yeah, basically everything on that one is exact same.
Yeah.
Again, we'll have to wait until October to get our thoughts on that. But it just looks like a fairly TikTok upgrade over the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which I didn't mind. I thought the battery was a bit disappointing, but yeah, solid phone either way. Let's get into a little bit of extra stuff though that happened post-event. Well, we had Android 16 QPR2 Beta 1, which is going to be the first full release after the Pixel 10, sometime around December. We're going to obviously have monthly patches until there. It feels really strange, right? Confusing. We have QPR1 that's waiting, 10 that's probably going to release with that as well. We're going to get a preview of some features that are coming in December. What's happening right now? It's blagging my head. This has drained me mentally and physically over the past 24 hours.
Yeah, it's this cycle more than others. There's a drumbeat of constant new features, of constant software. I kind of want, Material 3. When Android 16 QPR comes out, I guess it's coming out for people who buy the Pixel 10 next week. But for everybody else, I think that is really the deadline for when more apps should get updated, more first-party apps should get updated. The avalanche is coming. There are many, many updates in the past recent days, widely rolling out. So that's something, but there really needs to be wide adoption for this too, because after you're done with the settings app or the quick settings redesign, it's the apps that you use every day. They have to look new to contribute to the entire experience of this is a major software update.
I do wonder how this affects third parties. So, for instance, there are going to be people out there who get an S26 device. They're going to have a lot of Google applications that look completely different to the UI on their phones. So this is a big, bold decision by Google to do this. I do wonder if they'll end up being a situation where we get Pixel-only Google applications. I kind of feel in my bones that might eventually happen. It wouldn't be a good look, right? But at the end of the day, it would create some sort of exclusivity for Pixel phones. Because, even the new dialer looks great. There's some stunning applications, genuinely stunning applications. I just wonder if Google forces all developers to fall in line, and then you get, you get your S26, and one UI looks completely different to everything else on your phone. It's going to feel really, really jarring. So I don't know. That's just a little thought of mine that I had about Material 3 Expressive.
I guess that's why Samsung always pushed so hard to do their own apps right? Like they like maybe that was them trying to be like, well, we want to set our own design language, not just on the operating system, but on, you know, the entire experience as you're using system apps, like the dialer, for example. I feel like that disconnect has existed a little bit, like kind of like Samsung never really fell like one on one, like perfectly in line with you know, like the more recent Material U. I was like, what is it? Why can I not think of the name Material U? They had elements of it, but I wouldn't say that like One UI 5 and 6 ever felt exactly how I thought of Material U. It is an odd disconnect, and I think that's why. I wonder if psychologically that's why every time I switch to a Samsung device as my daily driver, it feels like not cohesive. Like I wonder if it is that thing where I am jumping between a Samsung home screen and a Google application, and it doesn't feel connected in the way that on a Pixel you jump from like a very Google home screen to a Google app to, you know, Google settings menus and so on and so forth, and everything feels a little more cohesive. And that is what Samsung, like as a company that is not the platform holder, that is like kind of the price Samsung has to pay, is their devices feeling less unified.
Yeah, this is such a tangent, but I just want something at Samsung to tell me why I need to know I need to know that I'm on Wi-Fi 6 or whatever. Why? Who does that? No, this entire segment is just me saying why. Who cares?
I feel like the dead into tech person. And that sounded weird. Sorry. The tech enthusiast is what I was thinking of. I couldn't think of the word. If you're really, really into your technology, I think you do kind of care. Maybe, I don't know.
If you're really into technology, you're probably not even going on to third-party Wi-Fi networks. So
possibly.
It's just baffling that I see the stupid number in the status bar every single day.
Samsung strikes me as a company, and this is not unique to them. I would even say Google has some of this as well, but a company that just does things the way it does things because that's how they do things. And why would we do things a different way? Which is how you end up waiting a decade for a vertical app drawer. Like that's how you get there, is because it's like, but we've always had it this way. It's why when you don't set up a Samsung device, you still have three virtual buttons that are in an odd layout, to me, an odd gestures, layout. That to the point where Google is apparently like being like, you know what? We'll just make that an option on Pixel then. Clearly Samsung's not going to switch.
I think, it's a strange one. It's a strange one. And I think when you look at this particular, in the context of this beta release, or this kind of the next release, it's weird how it's fallen. It definitely feels like Google is taking on a lot more of Samsung qualities. For instance, obviously this now has there's some bigger changes in this particular release, like widgets on the home screen, lock screen, sorry. I personally don't really see the point in that. I'm going to unlock my phone to look at stuff, but I like the fact that they're going to add this. It definitely feels like they did it with Pixel tablet first because it's a smaller like user pool. How's it going to look on phone? It's a little bit broken right now. I think there are some other tiny little tweaks that definitely feel like they are playing catch up with Samsung, like dark mode, for more tuning for dark mode and things like that. And it's enveloped a lot of the Canary stuff, but I do wonder how much the Canary builds are going to drastically affect how Pixel develops and Android in general, because they can almost, how would I describe it? They can prototype things at a rate that they never were doing before. Yep. Like we would have to wait 6 months until we had a preview. And if Samsung does something with One UI or is already doing it, Google can prototype it a lot quicker and then get it in these QPR build, basically like this. So it is strange to see when we're about to test a load of brand new smartphones, so then get the next OS that's not coming for 3 months. And obviously it's nothing new. QPR releases have been there for a while, but it feels weird, the release cadence. But it's very good. If anyone out there has installed it seems really stable so far. A lot of the stuff is working as normal. I think Google and their beta releases have been really good over the last few years. So no concerns from me running it on my device. on my Pixel 9 Pro XL. But yeah, I think it's a busy time. We've got a lot of stuff to dive into in the next few weeks. We've had Jimmy spinning a yarn yesterday. I think that took a lot out of a lot of us. But yeah, I think, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to Made by Google, but I think that kind of, we've covered it from end to end, pre with leaks, now with this event, all the devices we're now just going to dive into and kind of give you the lowdown on everything in the next few weeks. But
we hinted at it, but I am happy to see that they are apparently making a new smart speaker of some kind. I'm thrilled.
Yes.
As we hinted at, just let me change the wake word. I will even say, hey, Gemini. Don't they want me to say that? Like, I feel like they should want me to say that.
Yes,
Google just,
but no.
It just never rolls off the tongue for me well. It always feels like it's, hey, G. Feels like it's stuck in my throat every time I say it.
Yeah, to just dive into that, it's kind of weird how they shoehorned, it kind of did feel shoehorned, that they did a whole, this is a big update. There are so many speakers out there. There's so many people who know what Google Assistant is on smart speakers and smart displays. And at the event, they made this big announcement via blog post. Mm. We'll talk more about this come closer to October, whenever it happens. But that's a pretty big announcement that is not really thematically fit with the rest of the event.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one as well, because it almost feels like they're preparing us for what's coming, and obviously they've had this Gemini preview and this potential new piece of hardware as well as like briefly teased. Well, I guess it wasn't teased; it was just kind of like, here it is, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Whether or not that makes it to kind of production is we're none the wiser. But I think with Google pushing, it was one of their first product lineups, right? We had Chromecast, the hardware. We've had Google Home or Google Nest. Is it Nest Mini? I still call it the Home Mini. So it makes sense. They're probably two. I would not be surprised if they're one of the most successful products. I know Chromecast is their best hardware selling product, right? So it kind of makes sense for them to go back to basics and have something like this if they want to get Gemini out in the wider world. Like ChatGPT are not going to be able to compete with this, OpenAI. So yeah, the more that they kind of ramp this up, I think the more people are going to be aware of Gemini, using Gemini. And like you say, Will, if we can change a wake word, that would probably be, I think a lot of us would be very, very happy. I think that might be the biggest change to any assistant-powered speaker ever.
They're going to hide it behind this subscription that they put to that. I can feel it. I can feel it.
$200 a month AI Pro to change a keyword. But yeah, I don't know. I think that kind of summates everything, guys. I know it's been a busy couple of days. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks, busy couple of months probably. Thanks for joining me. Hey, I thought yesterday wasn't that bad, all things considered. We've had a lot on our plates.
Yeah,
we're gonna have a lot more on our plates very soon.
Real quick, if you guys will indulge me, I am launching. I'm recording it in like an hour, but I'm launching a new podcast on Monday called The Sideload, where we will be talking more about this Pixel 10 event in detail. It'll be myself and Ben Schoen, but the podcast itself will be like a rotating guest every week, right? It'll be someone new every week that I'm talking to about, I don't know. This episode had a lot of tangents, and that's kind of what I'm chasing on this, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be kind of a more low-key, offbeat, Android-centric podcast. I'm really excited for it. We should be launching with 2 episodes. I should also have an episode out with the guys over at Nomad talking about building accessories for the Pixel 10 that I think is going to be like a particularly nerdy conversation that should be a lot of fun. So that should be launching on Monday. Did I time that to my 30th birthday on purpose? Yes, I did, actually.
Good man.
Happy birthday to me.
We'll give you a happy birthday in advance. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Hey, this is what we're here to talk about. We want to talk about technology, and I think people will be. Definitely go check it out. Subscribe to that now, guys. Leave a review, a 5-star review now. Just go leave a 5-star review now.
Oh, there'll be video for everybody who wishes this was a video podcast. I'm doing it as a video podcast. So there we go.
Legendary. I will be tuning in, and I will probably be leaving comments underneath the video.
Critiquing my editing, please.
Legendary. Right. Thank you, guys. this has been, I think this is episode 66, which is insane to think that we're this far into the year as well. But yeah, it's not over yet. Pixel 10 season is still well underway, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.